Venice didn't build an empire. No sprawling land, no unstoppable army, no legendary conqueror. And yet, for over 400 years, this single city controlled the flow of wealth across the known world. Every ship, every trade route, every valuable good moving between east and west passed through Venice. And if you wanted access, you paid, not to a king, not to an empire, but to a system so precise, so calculated, that it turned a city built on water into one of the richest powers in history. Venice wasn't supposed to succeed. It was built by refugees, fleeing invasions after the fall of Rome. They settled in a lagoon, surrounded by water, mud, and instability. No farmland, no natural defences on land, no resources to build traditional power. But that weakness forced innovation. Instead of expanding outward, Venice turned inward and then outward through the sea. They mastered shipbuilding early, built lightweight, fast vessels, learned how to navigate trade routes others ignored. While land empires fought over territory, Venice quietly positioned itself between the Byzantine Empire and Western Europe, and that location became its greatest weapon. Venice didn't dominate by conquering land. It dominated by controlling movement. Spices from the east, silk from Asia, gold, silver, rare goods. All of it had to travel. And Venice controlled the gateway. They built a massive merchant fleet which gave them strategic control of ports across the Mediterranean, as well as exclusive agreements with powerful empires. But here's where they really perfected their craft. They didn't just trade, they standardized it. Prices, contracts, logistics, everything became predictable, efficient, scalable. While other empires relied on conquest, Venice built a machine where every transaction generated profit over and over again. Then Venice evolved again. It stopped just moving goods and started controlling money itself. They pioneered early forms of banking, credit systems across borders, financial contracts that reduced risk. Merchants didn't need to carry gold anymore. They could use letters of credit, paper promises backed by Venetian institutions. This changed everything. Trade became faster, safer, larger in scale, and Venice sat in the middle of it all, taking a cut. Every deal, every shipment, every transaction. This wasn't just trade anymore, this was a financial network. Most people look at history and see stories, but if you look closer, you start to see patterns. And those patterns, they never disappeared. They just evolved. If you're starting to see it too, subscribe. Because the same systems that built empires like Venice are still shaping power, money, and influence today. And once you understand them, you don't just watch history anymore. You see the future before it happens. Venice had something even more powerful than money: information. Venetian merchants weren't just traders, they were intelligence gatherers. Every port they visited, every deal they made, they collected data, prices in different regions, political instability, supply shortages, upcoming conflicts, and Venice used that information strategically. Buy low before others knew demand would rise, sell high before markets collapsed. They also used diplomats and spies to stay ahead of rivals. Because if you control information, you don't react to the market, you predict it. Most empires collapse from within. Power struggles, corruption, unstable leadership. Venice solved this differently. It removed individual dominance and replaced it with structured control. The Doge, the leader, had power but limited. Real decisions came from councils, layers of oversight, checks and balances, strict political control. Even elite families were monitored. No single person could take over, no sudden collapse, just stability for centuries. While other empires rose and fell, Venice remained consistent. But no system lasts forever. The world began to shift. New trade routes opened, especially around Africa. Suddenly, goods didn't need to pass through Venice anymore. Other powers adapted faster, expanded further, scaled differently. And Venice stayed the same. Its greatest strength, a perfectly optimized system, became its weakness. Because when the system no longer fits the world, it breaks. Venice reveals something most people miss. Power isn't about owning everything, it's about controlling the system everything depends on. Today, the most powerful companies don't build every product. They don't own every asset. They control platforms, supply chains, financial systems, data, just like Venice did. And once you understand that, you start to see the world differently. Venice didn't fall because it was weak. It fell because the world changed. And it didn't. The roots shifted, the power moved, and the system that once controlled everything became irrelevant. That's the real lesson. Power isn't about what you build. It's about how fast you adapt when the game changes. Because in the end, every empire falls the same way. Not with a battle, but by being left behind.